I'm making the Necessary Clutch Wallet by Emmaline bags from start to finish. So I'm going to start with my credit card panel. Good morning. Hi. Hey Coral. Hey Kelly. Hey Laura. Laura. Hey Deb. Hey Jay Davidson. Happy Tuesday. Hi Claire. I know I am on early. My husband dabbles in the stock market, and because we live in Hawaii and when the stock market opens, it's so early here, he got up this morning and it woke me up, so I've been up since like 4:30. Good morning. I'm making the Necessary Clutch Wallet by Emmaline bags, if anybody asks. This is going to be a start to finish. I know I normally have my credit card panels made when I go live and sew this pattern, but this particular one, I use a different color credit card panel than the standard black one, so I'm making it from start to finish. Good morning. Hi, Leanne. Oh, good. I'm so happy to hear that. What am I doing? I feel like I did something wrong. Let's start over. Hey, Cindy. I know. I was just telling everybody my husband woke me up early. Hi, Katie's. Okay, that was right. That was right. I just looked up too long and forgot where I was. Thanks, Angie. Hi, Valerie. Okay, so for the wallet, what I do is I have these little pattern pieces for each size of the credit card slots. And so when I cut out my panel, I cut it out about a 1/2 inch wider and a 1/2 inch longer. And the reason for that is for some reason, whenever I do my folds, they are never perfect. And that's okay, because once I get it all folded up, stitched down, I just take it to my cutting mat and cut it to size. So that's why I make mine a little bit bigger. So if you struggle like I do with your credit card folds coming out perfectly straight, that's just a little trick. Make it a little bit wider, a little bit longer. That way after you do your fold and your sew, you can cut it down. Hi, Terry. Hey, Nancy. Yeah, I mean, I've done literally hundreds of these wallets, so this is just so much easier for me. All right, so let me go ahead and do a stitch along each one. And then what I normally do is just do a stitch down the sides so everything kind of stays folded together. do have a video with measurements on the card slots. I don't. The measurements is on the pattern. The measurements are on the pattern. You would have to purchase the pattern to get that. I'm just gonna trim my thread. So see how off that is? It kind of comes down at an angle. Well, after I do this step, I just take it to my cutting table and I cut it down to size. That way it's nice and perfect every single time. I'm gonna go ahead and sew this one up. I'm making 2 of these wallets today. So I wanted to prep one so I didn't have to stop, go cut it down. Is everybody at work? Home? Alright, so here are the ones that I just did, raggedy. And then here's what they look like after I cut them down to size. Aloha from Vegas. Home, home, home. Working from home. Isn't working from home the best? Okay, so now that they're cut down to size, I'm going to put them right sides together, sew along the bottom. That way we'll have both of our card panels. Cutting trick or treat. Nice. Possible. Not 4, I work till 11. That's a tough schedule. Working. Just finished work and got home. Nice. Retired. Oh, lucky. Okay, now I drew a line down the center when I cut them. I can barely see it. I'm gonna try. I like to pull my threads back and knot them off. I think I backstitched when I started. I've seen some people backstitch at every fold. I used to do that. I really didn't find that it secured it any better or any worse than how I do it. So I just don't do it anymore. And it just makes the stitching going down the center pretty seamless. I don't know if you can see that. All right, now we're going to add the back. Oh no, I didn't cut this down. Give me a second. Let me go cut this down really quick. Okay. Anytime you interface fabric, it causes the fabric to shrink in, so it will be smaller than what you originally cut your fabric to. So anytime I need to interface, especially with a heavier interface, this is Pellon 808, I like to cut it bigger, interface it, and then cut it down to size. Retired at home. Jealous. Can't wait for the day. And then now we are going to attach them right sides together and sew them. I sew it at the top and the bottom, turn it out right side through the side. So because there's a lot of doing the same thing over and over again, folding, stitching the top of the folds, and then doing this step, I usually do it assembly style. I'll just take a day and do like a whole bunch of them at one time. That way they're ready for me whenever I need to do a wallet. What are the backpack I like the best? Well, mine, of course. I find that I do a lot of swoon. I like Kaya Papaya. The owners of that pattern company are really nice, really sweet ladies. I don't think that I have one that it's like my go-to. I have to get their pattern every single time they come out with a new one. It really just depends. My little side stitching came up, so I'm just going to stitch that back down. And then now I'm just going to stitch along the top and along the bottom. That's it. That is how I do my card slots. There are 1, 2, 3, 6, 12 total in this wallet. And they fit the cards really good. You can actually get multiple credit cards in one slot. Thank you. Do you sew leather? I just got into leather making. I haven't used my sewing machine. I've been doing hand stitching for my leather. Do I sell? Yeah, I sell my patterns. They're at butterbags.com. Okay, so for this section in the middle of the wallet, there is a zippered pocket. I install my zipper on my domestic sewing machine because this is just way too tough to handle these small layers of cotton. So this is the part right here that we're working on right now. It's a zippered pocket that gets sewn in, and we flip it up, and that creates the sections of the wallet. All right, so I just installed the zipper. I'm going to go ahead and top stitch. And I do mine a little bit differently. I make mine a little bit shorter so that way I can lazy sew. Hello. It's been a minute since I've caught a live. Oh, hey. I'm on early today, so that's probably why. I've been trying to come on a little bit earlier than normal just because I know my time zone. It's just so hard for everybody to catch me. Hi, Kathy. Alright, I'm going to clip my corners, get that extra fabric out of there. Grab my screwdriver to turn my corners out. Yeah, I used Pellon 808. 809 is the same thing. It's just a double layer of 808. Always. So I'm just going to use my little screwdriver to poke out my corners. Thanks, Isabel. Give that a good press, and then I'm just going to top stitch along the bottom, which is actually going to be the top of this section. Set this aside, work on my wallet flap. So this is a restock of the Highland Cows. So what's different about the way that I make the pattern and the actual written pattern is that it is actually designed to kind of look like this. The way that it's designed. So all I do is I just take, I think I started with just a piece of paper, and I took the width of the top and the length of the longest point, and then I just squared it down. So I would just drag a line all the way down on both sides and then run a line to meet that longest mark on the bottom. So I just like the squared look of it a little bit better. It also allows to show more of the material because it's not cut off on the corners. And because this is the only part of the pattern, I just want to show as much as possible. So we're going to sew this right sides together. Your shop is only in your country. No, I mean, I sell to a couple different countries. And my digital patterns, I'm pretty sure that you can purchase those no matter what country you live in. All right, so I'm going to sew it down, across, and then up. We're going to leave this open so we can turn it right side out. Flip my extra fabric out of my corners. Turn it right side out. And then I'm going to use my screwdriver to get that extra little bit out of the corner. Just go nice and slow. There we go. Do the same thing over here. Using my finger first. And then what I like to do, because it's kind of thick, I like to roll it down so that the seam is nice and flush, and then just add a couple clips to it. That way I can do my top stitching. It's a little bit easier for me. This is the Necessary Clutch Wallet by Emmaline Bags. I'm going to turn it over and make sure everything is nice and pressed. There we go. So now I'm going to go ahead and top stitch. We don't need to do anything to the top. You can stay stitch if you want it. That is what the top stitching looks like. And then now I'm going to install my twist lock. Hi, Holly. So the twist lock, it has two parts. There's the opening, and then there's the actual twist lock. The twist lock gets adhered to the body of the wallet, and then the opening gets adhered to our flap. So I'm going to go ahead and install that first. So I'm going to just bring this down to my ruler. You might not be able to see it. I'm going to center my opening to the center of the wallet. Then I'm going to mark on the inside of it. This is the fabric that I need to cut out so that it's the same size. I make the cut about a 1/16 of an inch larger. That way you don't see the fabric. Because if you cut it just the same size as your opening, you could see a little bit of remnants of the fabric on the inside of that twist lock. Do you not sell Peltex in the flap? I do not. Is that what the pattern calls for? I haven't looked at the pattern in years, so I'm not sure. But I've never used Peltex. I find that the 2 layers of vinyl is sufficiently thick. So I just cut out about a 1/16 of an inch wider than that circle. Oh, it does. Interesting. Nope, I've never used Peltex. There we go. So you should be able to see where I drew it and where I cut it. It's about a 1/16 of an inch wider. And then there's 2 parts of the opening. You have a part that has prongs on it, and then you have a part that has a little divot tray that's where the prongs get pushed down into. You want this on the back. You don't want people to see the back of the prongs. So I'm going to put the one with the prongs through the front, get that all lined up in my circle. At the back. Sorry, my iron's going to be going on and off because I'm going to be using it. Make sure everything is nice and lined up. I just kind of push it over just a little so it holds it in place. Make sure everything is nice and even. And then I'll go ahead and push those down. And then I'll usually use my screwdriver just to get them in place all the way down. There we go. So that is the twist lock opening. And that's why you want this on the back, because you don't want people to be able to see those. Curious, why are the Alyssa's on sale? So I have 2 types of Alyssa's. I have one that has the crossbody strap, just a solid color, and those are the ones that are on sale. But the ones that have a more intricate crossbody strap, those are not on sale. All right, so I like to cut a hole in my lining so that I can turn this right side out. This wallet is going to be sewn some of the way inside out and then some of the way right side out. It'll make more sense once I do it. So I usually just cut 3 inches. Yeah. I find the center and then I fold it in half and then I cut up 3 inches on both sides, which would be a total of 6 inches. So we're going to use this to turn the wallet right side out. Gonna set that aside and I'm going to mark where I'm going to install my twist lock, and I'm going to cut out the holes, but I'm not going to install the twist lock just yet. So I'm just lining up the prongs, making sure everything is nice and centered, marking, and then I'm going to poke the holes where that's going to be installed. What's your time zone? I'm in Hawaii, so it's 7:30, almost 7:30 a.m. All right, so we're going to take our lining, our exterior, and we are going to match those right sides together. Going to clip them. Then I'm going to take my wallet flap. I'm going to tuck them in between the lining and the exterior. The pattern shows you exactly where to install it. I just transfer those marks when I cut out my fabric. I'm going to line that up, clip it in place, and then I'm going to set it aside. My wallets come with wristlet straps. I'm going to go ahead and make one because that gets sewn in right underneath the wallet flap when we put the interior lining, wallet flap, and exterior together, which is this step right here. I am on early. My husband woke me up, messed around with the stock market this morning. I think the stock market opens up at like 3 a.m. here. So he has to get up super early to get in. And he decided to lay in bed on his phone doing the stock market, which woke me up. So I just cut a 1-inch wide piece of vinyl. I got some double-sided tape going down the center, folding each sides in, and then I'm just going to stitch a line down each side. Then I usually cut it down to a little about 2 inches. Whenever I need to make one, I usually just have some scrap vinyl. And if it's bigger than 2 inches, I'll just sew it up and then just get a couple made. That way they're handy the next time I need one, so I don't have to do this all the time. Good morning. And then I just put my little 1/2-inch D-ring on, fold it over, and then I'm just going to sew the bottom just to keep this together. Thinks the sound of the sewing machine is soothing. No, I hear that all the time. I agree. All right, so I'm gonna put these two up. Use this one. So this one is gonna go underneath my wallet flap, and it's going to be touching my inside lining. So I'm just gonna tuck that under. Make sure my hardware is out of the way. Because next we're gonna sew all the way around, and then remember we're going to use this little cut to turn it right side out. Order my new machine. What's good beginning pattern for a wallet? I would say Spencer Ogg has a accordion wallet. That's a really, in my opinion, it's a really easy sew. My nameplate comes on after I turn this right side out. All right. I'm gonna turn on my iron, because when I turn this right side out, most of the time it gets a little wrinkled. Going to trim this down. And then now what I'm going to do is take my painting shears. There's a lot of extra fabric, and I cut it that way by design, but there's a lot of extra fabric outside of my seam allowance. When I turn this right side out, the more fabric that I have around my seam, the thicker my edges are going to be. So I don't usually do any trimming where the wallet flap is, but I'll go around and trim this down to about 1/4 of an inch. Alright, let me clean off my table. Yeah, the scissors are, they sound good. Now I'm going to turn this right side out. Press out my seams. So that's why I trim the excess fabric all the way around, because it just helps my seam lay a lot flatter. So now, because we have some wrinkles on the outside, we cannot iron vinyl, it will melt it. So I just use a little bit of steam from my iron. I hadn't turned back on. Hey, Shine Bright. And then now what we're going to do is top stitch all the way around. I normally like to start, so when you're looking at it, here's the halfway mark from the long ways. I like to start about 1/3, maybe 1/4 of a way down. And the reason is because once we sew our side, our divider in, we're going to be sewing along the side. So this side right here becomes this right here. So when we top stitch, when I back stitch, when I start and stop, I like it to be on the inside of these little folds instead of like starting and stopping up here, or starting and stopping down here, because that's where this is and that's where this is. Hi, Vicky. My website is butterbags.com. It's linked in my TikTok profile as well. So just little things like that, where you start and where you stop sewing, can make a big difference on your project once it's done. And this has taken me years to learn, so don't feel bad if you don't do it. I've made so many of these, and now I can realize where to start, where to stop, etc. Just clipping my thread where I started. I'm going to make sure that my hardware is pointing up and not down because I don't want to sew over it. Let me grab a nameplate. Do you put any kind of interfacing inside your purse? Yes. I interface all of my bags. The lining gets a woven interface, and then the bottoms get a Peltex interface, which gives it a little bit more stability and a little bit more thickness on the bottom. All right, so there's kind of 3 sections to your wallet. We got the flap. This top up here is the back. This is going to be the front. So when it's all done, the back, if you just look at this way, this part right here is going to be the back of your wallet, and then this part down here is going to get folded over and is going to be the front. So I like to add my name tag to the center of the back, and I just use the flap to find the center. And I believe I go down like a 1/2 inch. And because we still have that opening in the center, when I poke through my vinyl, I want to hold my lining out of the way. So I just put my hand in here, hold it open, and then poke my holes. And I'm going to come in here at the back. Going to hit the inside with some steam. Okay, so that's what we're looking like so far. Now we're going to add our credit card panel that we did earlier. You want to make sure that the center of this kind of matches up with the center of your flap. Fold it over our side. Clip that in place. Thank goodness for butter knives. I agree. And then fold this side over. It's a little bit off. I'm going to scoot it over just a touch. Okay, so now to secure that credit card panel in, we're going to stitch along each side. That's just my garage. All right, remember we had poked our holes for our twist lock, but we hadn't installed it yet. I'm gonna go ahead and install it because the next step, we're going to cover up that hole that we have in our inside lining. Remember where we cut to turn it right side out? The next step is gonna close that hole. So while that's still open, and the reason why I don't install it until this part is because if this was installed, there would be like a little gap on this bottom part because this is so thick, so it wouldn't lay straight down, straight flat. And when I do my sewing on the sides, I want this nice and flat without a little hump underneath it. So there's a method to all of my madness. That's this reason. Hi. All right, so that is installed. I'm going to close it to make sure everything lines up. Right now it does. You're looking at, you don't want to see your back kind of poke through. You want everything nice and lined up. All right, next up, we're going to sew our zipper pocket, which is also what we're using for the sections of our wallet. We're going to sew this in. I'm going to grab my friction pin, make a couple marks where it needs to go. So this next step kind of does two things. It secures our pocket to the wallet, but it also gives the bottom some definition. So that's where this one was stitched in, and it gives it a nice shape. So I'm going to get that all centered and then sew that down. I'm going to pull my threads through so I can knot them off. That is my stitching. Going to hit this with my iron so that ink comes out. All right, and then the next part is just to fold up the top of our zipper pocket and the bottom of our zipper pocket so that we have the different sections of our wallet. So I'm gonna unzip this kind of halfway. The pattern tells you exactly where to do your folds, but I just kind of eyeball it. I've made so many of these. Why do you knot those threads? Because it makes the stitching look a little bit seamless. So when we start and stop, like right here, I back stitched, and that means that when you start stitching, you stitch a couple and then you go back a couple and then you keep stitching down, and that locks in the threads. Well, anytime I have a stitch that's visible, I want to use as little back stitching as possible. So in order to lock those threads and not back stitch, you have to pull them through and knot them off. So it's just a visual thing. It's not necessary. You can backstitch. I just think that it just makes it look a little bit prettier. All right, let me make sure we're nice and even before we sew those down. We are not. All right, fold it up. Make sure we're lined up. It looks smoother, yes. So that's what it's going to look like when it's all done. So the next step is just going to be to sew down each of these sides, which will keep this pocket and these sections locked off. I like to sew all the way down and then back stitch all the way up. It just locks it in, and then when I cut my threads, the starting and stopping are at the top together. Thanks, Robin. And then I'm just going to tighten my threads so I can trim them. I'm going to hit that with the lighter. So if you notice, I don't even know if you'll be able to tell, there's like the teeniest amount of thread that's poking up from where I clip them. Sometimes I can't just get flush with the material, so I just use my lighter, singe those down. You got about 2 seconds before it actually melts the vinyl, so just a little touch. That's all you need. All right, so the wallet is done. The last step is just I'm going to make a wristlet strap to attach to the wallet. The wristlet strap is optional. It comes on and off, so if you don't want to use it, you don't have to. All right, let me set this aside. We're all done, and make that wristlet strap. So from the wristlet strap that I use, it's 2 inches wide, 14.5 inches long. I have a line drawn down the center. I'm going to cut up and then at a 45-degree angle. And what this is going to do is give me a finished edge on one end of my wristlet strap. The other end of my wristlet strap is going to have a raw edge, but you're not going to see that. Thank you. So I got 1/2 inch double-sided tape going straight down the middle. Can a crossbody strap be attached? Not to the wallet. I mean, if you want to custom order one, you can. If you want to make one with a crossbody strap, I would need to add another attachment over here. That way the crossbody strap can attach both sides. This one, you'll have it hanging from a wristlet strap. trim my thread where I started. All right, let me grab my hardware. I'm going to use a large rivet and then a 1/2 inch lobster clasp. I love this style wallet. Oh, good. I love it too. I don't know how that happened. There we go. Grab my press, and then on the finished edge I poke 1 hole, and then on the raw edge I poke 2, 1 at the end, and then 1 about a 1/2 inch, about 3/4 of an inch down. Is that right? That's not right. Doesn't feel right. Yeah, that's right. I think that's right. Let me just look. No, yeah, that's right. 2 at the raw edge. Raw edge. I feel like it's been forever since I've made a wristlet, which is why it still doesn't feel right for some reason. No, I don't think that was right. Why did I just forget how to make a wristlet strap? Yeah, it's 2 at the finished edge. So what I'm gonna do is just trim this off. Okay, that feels right. I don't know why that was such a struggle. All right, fold that over. Good morning, Brandy. All right, then secure it. I think I made this one a little bit longer anyways when I cut it out, so it should be plenty big for a wristlet. It is. Yeah, it's the same size as the other one. I cut this one a little bit bigger when I was cutting out my pattern pieces this morning. All right, so we're all done. Let me grab the wallet, show you what it looks like with a wristlet strap. So here's what it looks like without. And then if you wanted to wear it with a wristlet strap, this wallet is available for sale if you'd like to purchase it. It's on my website, butterbags.com. This was a restock. So this is what it looks like as a little wristlet. Sometimes it happens. I was like, did I just stroke out? I could not remember how to make a wristlet strap. It's like saying the word over. Yes, I know. Do you have a pattern for the wallet? It's not my pattern, but you can purchase it. It is the Necessary Clutch Wallet by Emmaline Bags. Okay, I am going to run. I have so much work to do. I will see you guys on Thursday. Have a great day.